Hello my friends, I was asked to review this electric nail drill. Now I get asked frequently if I can review products, but I try to not review products unless I think I can incorporate them into my craft making. And an electric nail drill is definitely something I can use. So let's take a look at this and I'll show you some of the things that I made using it. I got this nail drill on Amazon and I will put the link in my description box. Now it's a pretty cool kit. First of all, the drill itself is in a really pretty pink rose color and I do like that. And it came with a bunch of different tools. So it's got sanding bits and they are in a variety of grits. In the box there is some paperwork and there is also an instruction manual. The instructions were very simple and easy to understand. One thing to be noted is to not use the drill in maximum speed for a long period of time or it will damage the motor, but honestly I never had to put it in maximum speed while I was working on it. Here are the drill bits that come in the kit, and as you can see there are several. So the brown ones are different grits of sandpaper. You can also see some of the other bits there that had different shaped heads on them. Now this is also another set with different shapes and those are more for buffing. This drill set plugs into a USB adapter or a USB port. What I'm holding here is the on and off switch, and there's also a little wheel on it that can easily, very easily change the speed. There's also forward and reverse. Now let's go ahead and experiment for a second. I am going to grab the tool that holds one of the sandpaper bits on it. This was very easy to use. The little sandpaper bit just slid right over top, and then in order to use the bit you just slide it into the drill. There's nothing else that you have to do. This is my first time using it, so we are doing this together. So you guys know how I frequently mention things that have shiny surfaces, and when things have a shiny surface, other stuff doesn't glue to them as well because they're not porous. So I frequently sand down cards, playing cards, when I work with them. So I thought, let's go ahead and sand this card down using this tool and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I kind of liked using this tool on the card. It seemed for me a little bit easier than using the sandpaper, and I was able to go around the edges quite easily. We're going to have some fun altering this card, but first let me show you a few other things that we can do with this tool. So I have some spools, and you know how sometimes when you get wooden pieces, whether they're spools or buttons or beads, sometimes inside of them it's not very smooth. And it's hard to get the yarn or fabric through sometimes because it gets caught up on the wood. So I thought I would go ahead and switch the bits out, and I went for a nice long narrow one, and I'm going to go ahead and go inside of this wooden spool and clean that up a little bit. As you can see, that was super easy to do, and I think I will definitely find this tool very handy for doing stuff like that. I'm glad that I gave that a try because yeah, that was just so easy. I also have a wooden bead that I'm going to clean up the inside of, and then I have like this wooden, it's a disc. It was actually part of a necklace, as was this bead here that I'm working on. And so there's another piece of wood, but it's much more flat, and the hole that goes through the center of it is pretty small, so I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Yep, I was able to do that, and it was very easy. So on to our next experiment. You know how sometimes we go and we get these wood pieces and the edges are really rough. Well, I have a couple of these, and I thought today I would go ahead and grab it and see if we can get the rough edges off of it. So I put the bit on that has the sandpaper, and I actually put a different sandpaper roll on there, and it's one that's a little bit more gritty than the one I had before. So first I'm just kind of experimenting with it, and I'm going around the edges. Well, it definitely made quick work of cleaning up the edges, so I definitely could see using this for all of my wood projects. Now I'm going to switch the bit, and I'm putting one of the buffing bits on just to make it super smooth. I just want to see how that works. It is working really well, and we are going to circle back around to this project after we play with some paper. Now I'd like to experiment with some paper. I took this piece of paper out of a book, and I had previously coffee dyed it. Like I said, it was in a book, and it's quite thick paper, and I thought, you know what, let's play with this and see if we could use the drill on it, kind of experiment with it, see what it does with the edges. I just want to know. You guys know that I play with paper a lot, and I like to experiment with it a lot, and I use different things to dye it, and I like to do eco dyes and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, let's give this a try and see what we can come up with. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go at this paper, we're going to go around the edges of it with the sandpaper, and we're just going to see what that does. Alright, so what I liked about that was if there was an area that was sticking up too far, I could just go over it and it would clean it up, you know. And then you could also really thin out an edge if you wanted to, and I thought that was really cool. Now we're going to experiment with the Pointy Bit and see what we can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can go into the paper and make it like a tear. My goal for this piece of paper is to make it look much older than it is. So we're just experimenting here, and we're going to see how this turns out. When I'm finished aging the edges with the tools, then I will go ahead and mix up some coffee and some paint, and then I'm going to paint over the paper. We are going to let it dry, and then I will show you the results when it's all dried. Okay, while that's drying, we're going to head back over to our wooden project and also our card. So you can see in the upper part of this video, I have completed the altering of the playing card, and I also had adhered a paper napkin to the wooden piece that we had smoothed the edges down on. So I adhered the napkin, and I thought, well, you know, let me go ahead and use the tool to remove the edges of the napkin that were, you know, they're loose, they're just hanging off the edges. So that's what we're doing here. So I did the edges with the sandpaper tool, and now I'm going to go ahead and use the pointier tool to do the insides of the bow. And now I'm going around with the one that's like a buffer, and I'm just smoothing over the edges. Now I'm going to show off our finished projects, but before I do, I want to show you the electric nail drill set again. So on the right you see all of the drill bits. On the left you can see there's a package of the sandpaper covers that come with it. So those are the beads that we drilled out the centers of. You can see here is the wooden piece, and we were able to smooth out all the edges. We were able to used the drill to remove the napkin that was hanging over the edge. So it's all done, everything's nice and smooth. I added some sequins over the top and I think it came out pretty cute. Here is our altered playing card, which I will probably turn into an ATC, which most of you know is an artist trading card. With the drill set, I was able to take the gloss off of the back of it, and then I was also able to go around the edges, and I noticed that when I went around the edges, then when I went over that area with marker, it soaked in really nicely, so I think that turned out pretty neat. I have to say I like my other projects, but this one I think is my favorite. I'm moving some stuff around so I can get it onto the table. I took this piece of paper and used that drill set on it, and I'll tell you what, I really like it. So, you know, I went into it, made it look really tattered and torn, and then I went over it with some nice dark rich coffee with mixture of coffee and paint, and I just think it turned out great. Well, I hope you guys like my makes, and I definitely give this electric nail drill set a thumbs up. It was easy to use, it was fun to use, and I definitely would use it in my crafting. And my daughter most likely is going to end up using it for her nails, which is fine. We can use it for all of the above. Thanks for watching. See you soon.